Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community Meetings. Today is July 21st, 2026. On the agenda today, which I will put shortly, Shavash from Guywire is going to talk a bit about the ManifestWork metrics. Um, Please feel free to take it away whenever.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for inviting me here. Okay,
Thank you.
let me share my screen. Okay, little bit of background. What what are we trying to implement in Guidewire? So in Guidewire, we have a hub cluster, and there are a lot of managed cluster getting attached to that hub cluster. So there are a couple of things that we are worried about. We want consistent monitoring of certain things in our hub cluster, and that gets pushed to Datadog eventually. One of them is looking at the HCD storage so that the hub cluster doesn't get overwhelmed with a lot of manifest works from different managed cluster. So we are looking into HCD storage. And the other thing that mainly we want to discuss over here is connection between the hub and the managed cluster. That means how long does it take for an update or any of the application of the manifest work on the hub cluster to come to the managed cluster. That means the delta between the timestamp of the apply of the manifest work and the actual apply of the resource inside the managed cluster. So we were just deciding, trying to create a solution to it. So the solution that we are proposing is having starting with the hub cluster. So in our case, it's an insurance platform deployer, but it could be any actor that is trying to create a manifest work on the hub cluster or even update the manifest work. We will have an admission webhook on the hub API server that will consistently capture any update or creation of the manifest work. And it will capture the timestamp and also the name of the manifest work and also the tags on it. And collecting all that information, it will send it to Datadog in our case, but in as a generic, it can just send it to Prometheus as well as a metric, as a log, and also emit some metrics and with the timestamp. So this is the information we get on the hub. Now, when we come to the managed cluster, here it's a little bit complicated. The reason is that in the managed cluster, it is the manifest work controller that is responsible for consistently look at the managed manifest work on the hub cluster and then apply the resource on the managed cluster. So this manifest work controller, when it applies the resource on the managed cluster, it doesn't emit any metric or logs currently. So to do that, we will be making a contribution to OCM so that the manifest work controller does emit the log as well as the metric, and it has the tag which will be from where it will be easy to recognize which manifest work was applied on the hub. So for that manifest work, when the first resource gets provisioned in the managed cluster, we will be having a Datadog metric or Datadog log. In your case, it could be Prometheus, and you can give it to any other observability instrument that you're using. In Datadog, if we get same tags, then if from the metrics, we should be able to recognize T2 minus T1, which is the timestamp on the managed cluster versus the hub cluster. And then we should be able to tell whether the propagation of the managed manifest work resources from hub to manage is taking longer than expected, or is it fine, or if the connectivity is working good. So yeah, we were designing some solution. We came to a final solution. This also has some questions in my mind. For example, if there are consistent applies on the managed cluster, on the manifest work on the hub cluster, consistent applies. For example, there is T1, another T1 plus another T1 before it even reaches the managed cluster. How will we actually correlate to the call? And the solution is that it can also pass in the observe generation, and a manifest work controller can look at the observe generation and compare. So yeah, these are the things coming up. But it will be great if people who are more used to the code give us some more problems or some more insights whether this solution is perfect or if there is any better solution that we can also adopt any existing solution as well. What do you guys think about this?
So the first thing that came to my mind is Woke mentioned that, there was some work metric that might be available. And I think I looked at the code and maybe based on my memory as well, I couldn't find it. There was only the placement metrics. So I
Yes.
was wondering, well, maybe you were thinking of the service delivery, the cluster service thing that was submitted in metrics, and then you were looking at on the Grafana dashboard. I think it's related to Hypershift. Or, anyways, do you
Yeah,
remember that?
actually, I was under the impression that the metrics were available. So after the call last time, I looked up the code. I couldn't find anything either. I knew there was some discussion about it, and I found a ticket about creating metrics for exactly this, but the ticket was never implemented. So it was my bad. Sorry. The metrics don't exist today. Only the
Okay.
ticket to do this thing exists.
Okay. Uh, Maybe a recall. Is there any redundant work anyone else is doing on it? Because we will be starting this contribution soon. If there is any initiative that is already taking over, please let us know by the Slack channel or any other means.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone working on it.
Okay.
The only other thing is, do we need to feature gate it or some flag or something? Well, based on
Mm,
I look at the placement metrics, they're not under a flag, so I think it should be okay as well. And then my
Okay.
other question you mentioned was the correlation, and you mentioned that as well using the generation, observed generation.
Yeah. I think
So
yeah, yeah, so that was a question that came up, and I thought observed generation would be because the limitation was that we could have used the updated timestamp as well, but there is no updated timestamp actually on a manifest work. It's just a created right now. And then we have the observed generation that keeps on getting updated on each and every update. So that is where observed generation might be useful.
yeah, I think that's probably way better than the timestamp anyways. Like
yeah.
that's the following the Kubernetes
Hmm.
way of understanding what is done, what is absorbed based on the spec change. So you're actually following the standard Kubernetes pattern, which is great.
Yes.
And could you talk a little bit about how, I guess this is now being done on we're gonna offload this time differences, if the time zone differences, you're gonna offload that complexity to Datadog. Where could you talk a little bit about that? How you plan to address that? Just for my
Okay.
curiosity. I know it's not OCM related.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point. I looked into it. There are two places where this entire logic becomes a little out of sync. One is the NTP, and forgive me for not using the correct terminologies, but there is some time server each and every cluster gets connected to, and it's maybe an NTP server. So the managed cluster, which is in a different region, for example, in APAC, and then the hub cluster is in AMER, let's say, they don't agree to a particular what is time dot now. There's a very milli microseconds difference in the NTP server, but that is so minimal that it does not really affect the observation of the latency. So I'm keeping that out of the consideration for now. But the other thing is they both are in different time zone, right? So if they're in a different time zone, both the times needs to be converted into a common timestamp like UTC. And that's how all the metrics are anyhow working in Datadog as well, because they do come from different regions, they do come from different time zones as well. So they come and then we will have to convert that into a UTC. And after that, we will be doing this calculation. Or this can be converted to UTC in the controller itself, in both of them, the admission webhook or the ManifestWork controller. I haven't decided on that, but one of the two places we will be converting into UTC and then doing the delta.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. So based on this diagram, I'm assuming the mission and webhook is going to be some custom thing that you have, and it's not going to be in OCMIO, right?
No, no, no. We can make a contribution. I think this is Kubernetes. It can work on any of the Kubernetes cluster. This is generic
Yes.
enough admission webhook controller we can create.
Yes.
Uh, it will be on the Hub API server, so we can make that contribution. I'll once I have it ready, I'll make a call with you guys if you want that in your OCM repo. But yeah, this one will definitely go to the OCM, and I'm considering where do we put the gate. So it needs to be the gate on the application of the managed cluster resources, right?
You
So
mean the
cluster led
well, I
maybe.
don't well, I don't know if you need the gate to start with. Maybe just do it without the gates and see if we get any pushback on that. Because I remember the placement one doesn't have gates.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. So I don't see why we need unless we get some pushback. I think let's just do without the gates first. Because with the gates you'll need to define it and then having the you'll
Hmm.
need to make a change to an API and then you come over to OCM, you need to bump your API version and then all that. But going back to the mission and webhook, I would love to have that contribution as well, but that can come later.
Okay.
And we have a lab project that kind of capture these type of stuff too.
Nice.
So even if you're not willing to maintain it, we would love to just keep have that somewhere and then have it documented. It'll be a good piece for the community. And I think Teshu wanted to say something. Teshu,
Oh, I was just, could you explain a little bit about the decision to put it in the admission webhook? Are you trying to avoid the timing to when the controller on the hub is noticing the change as well?
Decision of admission webhook versus any other thing that you're thinking that we can put this? Because I want something on the Hub API server, and we are able to very well capture the created at timestamp from the manifest work. We wouldn't need this admission webhook controller for that, but we also need to get the updated. We don't have the updated timestamp on the manifest work.
Right. Okay. So you don't have a controller on the hub that's actually looking at
Yeah,
it.
that's why this is a custom controller or a
Gotcha.
webhook will be creating.
So I didn't realize how that worked. Do we not have a controller that's also seeing this on the hub?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
well, we probably have something that do validation, right? But
Yeah,
it's for validation purposes, not for
yeah,
like
I
this
don't know
type
the
of.
details. It just surprises me that the hub is not noticing the update as well already
No,
somewhere.
I wouldn't say we don't notice the update, but we don't emit the metrics like this. I'm pretty sure we do have the validation in place, a validation emission webhook in place, but we wouldn't put this type
Right.
of metric
It's
in there.
already in a admission webhook is what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
And and work and the work API, like the conceptual architectural of work API, majority of the stuff is actually hub and spoke. So the work agent is on the spoke side and looking at the hub. So the hub usually doesn't do anything with the work. So that's another reason why there's fewer components on the hub side for the for ManifestWork API. But I think what the DIY team is doing is great. I mean, it makes sense to me, and it's quite straightforward. Minimum code changes to OCMIO and they get what they wanted. And I'm sure once they start implementing this, they'll see some issue, and then we can iterate through it either through OCM or through their data doc. And, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. I
Any
will.
other? Sorry.
I I will also see if I can summarize this in a Slack thread in your channel, and if you guys still have any input, that will be great to capture it over there. It will be useful for our implementation so that we get any early information if possible.
Yeah, you can try. You can share in the open cluster management, like the public one.
Okay.
Then other people will probably chime in as well. Hopefully.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
I just have one question. Sorry if you went over that already and I missed it, but how do you correlate an update between hub and managed?
Yep. That's a good question. So, um, whenever there will be an update on a manifest work over here, it updates the observed generation as well on the manifest work. And this admission webhook controller will send the observed generation as a tag to Prometheus or Datadog. And along with that, it will also have the manifest work name. So if we actually talk about Datadog, it will get same metrics from both the places, but two different timestamps for it to have a delta. So observed generation would also be read by the manifest work controller over here, the work controller, and it before it applies, it can read it, and our contribution will be in a way that it also sends the observed generation to Datadog. So there we have the exact matching call between the both.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, this is actually something newly today in the morning. I was discussing with my colleague, and we figured out okay, there could be a solution. There could be an issue like that as well, that we will not be able to match the calls. And you never know, we'll come across more issues. We'll find out.
Okay, that was great. Thank you for sharing. Any other comments, feedback? If not, thank you all for joining this week. See you all next time. Take care, everyone.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.